Welcome back to Jeff Koinange live here at Citizen Television. We have a great cast of guests today, and we're talking on a serious subject with 2022 literally around the corner. We're talking about church and politics, or religion and politics. Right next to me, Reverend Dr. Timothy Njoya, retired cleric at PCA. Right next to him, Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome. He's a Muslim scholar, member of Jamia Mosque. And right on the far end, Dr. David Oginde. He's a Bishop Emeritus at CETAM, Christ is the Answer Ministries. What are your questions? What are your comments? Send them through and we'll ask these gentlemen. In the meantime, gentlemen, welcome to JKL. Once again, let me ask you first, Reverend Dr. Timothy Njoya, the church or the pulpit has become the latest campaign platform for politicians. Why?
No, it has become sometimes worse than that, because it has become like a toll station for politicians to go and pay toll on their way to the parliament or to the county hall, or even for some clergymen. It has become also like their toll station on their way to wealth rather than to God. It should not be like a toll station where the rich people come and pay toll or rich people come and pay tithe. It's a house of worship. It is the temple of the Holy Spirit. It's not only that, it's the body of Jesus Christ. And the body of Jesus Christ feels as if it's being nailed again and crucified all over again, where it is made like a toll station by the rich.
Absolutely.
And well to do. So God is calling for amendment, not constitutional amendment, but for behavioral amendment, for character amendment. And in Jeremiah chapter 26, verse 13, and he calls people to amend their ways, so that he can also listen to them, he can bless them, and he can withdraw his punishment from them. So in Kenya, we didn't need a constitutional amendment because constitution has not done anything wrong to God or to anybody. What we were requiring is amending the bad characters, the bad manners of our readers, restructuring their behavior.
I'll get to the constitution in a moment. Sheikh Ibrahim, do you agree? Is it the same thing in the mosques?
Okay, I would say fortunately we do not allow mosques to be used by politicians, and we feel that a religious institution should be there to enjoin what is good and forbid what is evil, and we should not be following the politicians. We should rather be guiding the politicians. We should be the moral authority. When they go astray, we call them back. And they should not tell us what to do. We tell them what to do because they have vested interest. We don't have vested interest as religious leaders. What we want for this country is a peaceful country where everybody can enjoy their rights. But when religious leaders fall prey now to the whims of politicians, then I have a problem. I have a problem. And when we look at the history of this country and even the struggle for the new constitution, the Wanjiku constitution was achieved because the religious leaders stood up then, even with our elder here at Ufungamano. We came together. Politicians felt that Wanjiku has no role at all in this constitution. It is the religious leaders of this country when they came together and told politicians, this is a Wanjiku constitution. And that is how we ended up with a Wanjiku constitution. Unfortunately, Jeff, I think we are losing it. We need to see another David Gitari. We need to see another Ahmed Khalif. We want to see another Ndingimana Anzeki standing up and telling the politicians when they are wrong, please come back. This country doesn't belong to you. It belongs to all of us. Yes, you have been elected by the people, but we have the moral authority, and this country belongs to all of us. And I feel that God is not happy with us when we keep quiet and sometimes collude with the politicians, when actually we can see, obviously, Jeff, they're not taking this country to the right direction.
Absolutely. Dr. David Oginde, you just heard that. It's true. A lot of what the Sheikh has just said is true.
Yeah.
Why? Where did we go wrong?
Where did we go wrong? You know, the things that happen in society is a reflection of our society. The politicians we are talking about did not grab power like the Talibans. They were elected by Kenyans. And it's a reflection of the kind of leaders that we as a society have chosen to lead us. we are now going to elections in 2022. And various ones are going to present themselves for election. How many of us think carefully the kind of person that we elect into office? Because, Jeff, you know that in this country, we elect people the same month after the elections, we are complaining about the leaders we have just elected. So we can blame the politicians, but for me, the person to blame is the Kenyan, because these people don't drop from hell. We go queue whole day sometimes, in the rain, in the sun, to elect them. But soon after, we complain about them.
Yeah.
So if you go to a supermarket and you have the freedom to choose what goods you buy, and you go in there and choose the goods you wanted, and immediately you arrive at home, you are complaining that these things are terrible. Who made the choice? So one of the things that we need to get to as Kenyans is to be very sober about our choices. The moving with euphoria, moving with parties like 6 Ps, you know, it means that you're not making a choice. You're saying the president comes from this party, I'll elect the governor from this party, and the senator from this party, the MP from the same, MCA from the same, without considering, is this person, the presidential candidate may be good, but is the governor candidate as good? Is the MP candidate as good? Why don't we make the right choices of the right kind of leaders?
Reverend Doctor, it's been said time and again, we get what we deserve.
Exactly.
I think we should be talking about our political subculture, or our political values and principles, having not followed the biblical or the constitutional values. For instance, in Kenya, we have developed a evil political subculture of resolving our disputes with violence. And we have borrowed it from South Sudan. In Southern Sudan, political rulers and those who rule elections resort to power sharing by the ruler using violence, the other one pretending to have used votes, whether he has rigged or not. And supposing, like in Kenya, we say elections have been rigged. Not in the same in Sudan, but they don't talk about rigging, they talk about being marginalized.
Yeah, but Reverend Doctor, South Sudan is only 10 years old. How do
but they have twice in 10 years used violence to share power, not use the ballot. Use another means other than the one provided for in the Sudanese constitution. Kenya is the only other country in Africa which has this subculture of election rulers using violence as ultra-constitutional method of sharing, getting into power, and having power sharing. So we think we should define other methods of resolving election losing or resolving election losing than killing people. People are sacred. They are children of God. They should not be used as means or as a political tools. That if you can use violence, you can get what you didn't get through the ballot. So Kenya is the only country where people fight, use violence, use youth to fight the youth of the opponent. Not them are not fought. The children of the losers or the winners are not affected at all. They may be somewhere very, very safe. Those don't kill each other. It is the children of the poor of the poor, which are mobilized to go and attack the children of the other poor.
And why is that?
It is this subculture that you can gain something through violence, through devious methods, which are very, very unbiblical, they are very unconstitutional, they are very immoral. But since we are demoralized and made the youth immoral, that a young man can go and kill another young man, because we don't attach those mobilizers. Violent mobilizers have never been touched, their family have never been touched, their property are not touched, They only destroy the houses and the property of the poor. The poor become much poorer, more impoverished because of that subculture
Okay, let me
of
ask.
violence.
But Sheikh Ibrahim,
Yes.
the question is, did we learn anything? 2007 seemed a long time ago.
Yes.
And yet it was just the other day.
Yeah.
Did we learn anything from that?
Unfortunately, Jeff, I think we have a culture of forgetting very quickly. We forget very quickly. I remember after 2007, 2008, we said never again. But unfortunately, the way things are going now, it's like we are heading there. And unless we wake up from our slumber, Jeff, and realize the risk that we stand. We were at the brink of losing this country, 2007, 2008. Within 1 month, to date, Jeff, we have not recovered. We still have IDPs in the camps. And I don't want to agree with Reverend that we learned from Southern Sudan. Southern Sudan is a baby compared to us. Maybe they learned that bad habit from us. So for me, the rain started beating us when we allow politicians to get away with their wrong deeds. And as Bishop said here, nobody elects himself in this country or herself. We elect them. And the sooner we realize as the religious leaders the power we wield in the churches, in the mosques and other religious institutions, and use that power to mobilize the people. In Jamia Mosque on a Friday, I have 10,000 people praying there. I pass the message there. These are the people who are going to elect. Bishop has also a congregation. Reverend even is in his retirement. He still has people who listens to them. I think we need to tell the politicians, number one, don't allow them to use our platforms, the religious platforms. I want, when a Muslim politician comes to the mosque, it is for me to tell them where to sit and what to do, whether to speak and not to speak there.
And they comply and they listen to you.
They listen to us. Today, if Adan Duale comes to my mosque, I'll tell him where to sit and whether to speak or not to speak. But when we give them a leeway, and that becomes another political platform, I think this is where we go wrong. I think we need to realize the power that we wield, the kind of influence that we have with the people, and then use that to correct the wrongs. But when we sit down and say, after all, they are politicians, what do you expect from politicians? I'll do that, Jeff, if this country belongs to them. Jeff, if this country sinks, we sink all of us. It floats together with us. So I think we have that moral responsibility. And we should do it now, sooner than later. We are about 1 year to the elections, but you can already see the heat in the country. What are we doing? Why are we still accommodating these people? I want to think that all is not lost. We can still salvage the country by standing up and taking our rightful position, Jeff, and telling these people, putting them in their right place, and telling the voters, because they need the voters, and I know they will come in their droves to the religious institution because they know we give them the platform. We should deny them that platform. And even you, the media also. Yeah. You give them a lot of leeway also, the coverage you give them. If somebody speaks something that you think is going to hurt the people of this country, give them a blackout. You know they love the media and they love publicity. Yeah. Play your role as the media. We as the religious leaders play our role in mobilizing the voters, because these are the people who have the votes and they are going to elect the people. So I think it's the high time that religious leaders realize the power they have. I keep on saying, if only the buffalo knew the strength it has, the lions will never eat them. Unfortunately, the buffalo is so strong. The lion is not the strongest animal, but poor buffalo doesn't know the strength it has. We are that buffalo. We have the strength, but we should use that strength, Jeff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Good point, Sheikh. Good point. Bishop David Oginda, let me ask you this. A politician shows up at your church, or any church, with a bag full of cash.
Wow. Well, Jeff,
I wish they did.
You're a member of the church. If he shows up with a bag full of cash, and they do this all the time,
right?
What should be done?
It depends on what the bag full of cash is about.
Yes.
Because I hear this all the time. People come to church, and there are two ways in which money transactions take place in church. Either there's a fundraising for a project or a program, a building project, or any church project, and the church leadership decides we want to call people together in the spirit of fundraising that we have in this country. We want to call our friends together so that we can gather resources to put up a building, to expand something, to buy land, whatever it is. And so they call friends. Some of those friends might be politicians, okay? So when you have called people that way, you expect them to come with money. If they comes with a bag of money, you say, thank God, because that's what you wanted. Are we together? Mm-hmm. The other legitimate way in which a person can come with a bag of money is offering. In the church, according to Christian practice, if the church adhered to Christian practice, nobody should know what you give in church.
That is Islamic also.
So when you come with the money, Jeff, in church, we shouldn't know how much you've come with. We pass around a bag and you put your 1 million in there, another person puts 100 shillings, another one 50 bob, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
But politicians will make it known how much they're putting, you know, they'll make it known that they're putting a whole bunch of cash. And how do you deny them a platform after that?
No, just a moment. Mm-hmm. I have been a pastor and I've been in that experience at least twice. And I'll give you what I did. Because fortunately for the church that I have been a leader in, we don't do fundraisings that we invite politicians and those kinds of people to come. When we do fundraising, we do it among ourselves. And we do it exactly the same way. You pass around a bag and people give what they have. So you'll find somebody among the members of the congregation, those who are blessed of God with finances, they will give a lot of money. Somebody else who does not have as much, they give what they have. But we have no record, we have no idea how much Jeff gave, how much Reverend here gave, how much Sheikh here gave. Each person, because giving is to God.
Yeah.
Are we together?
Mm. Yes.
So if somebody now comes with what you call a bag of money, and that has happened to me twice, without solicitation, we receive it because they are giving it to God. But we don't make a hula baloo about it. And it doesn't change how I preach. It doesn't change how I relate with the person. So the unfortunate thing is that in my language we say when a mongoose has caught a chicken, you know, in the bushes behind the house, we say we blame the mongoose, but we also blame the chicken. Why did the mongoose come so close to the home? But why did the chicken go
close to
into the bush? You know,
yeah.
So we blame
both are to blame. Reverend Dr.
So we blame
both.
We blame both because the politician who comes deliberately to subvert the decision and will of the people in church by giving money already knows they are wrong, because that Jesus spoke about very clearly. And if you claim to be a Christian and you come to church to subvert the will of the people with money, that money is useless no matter how many millions it is. For us, we will use it to build whatever we want to build. But God sees.
God sees.
And he will not bless it. But we also we also blame the pastor.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yes.
First of all, let me put it this way. I've been a minister longer than many Kenyans today. I've been a minister for the last over 50 years. Worked as an active minister for 37 years, since 1967. I've never, and I can swear this, I've never seen anybody come to my church as a politician or as a doctor or as a farmer. I've never, in all my ministry, seen anybody come to church as a politician, a farmer, or doctor, or architect. I have always seen people come to my church, whether it was in Shuka, in the bush, or in St. Andrew. I've always seen people come to church as the worshippers.
No one came to give money?
No, zero. They wouldn't dare.
Come on.
You know, because Jesus said, and I follow Jesus very, very clearly, that these are bandits. Because, you see, he called them den of thieves.
Den of thieves.
These are not my words. The other day, somebody said that Kenya is an economy of banditry, but I thought he was quoting the Bible. Jesus said that the temple had become an economy of banditry. People bringing money and changing money in the church. Why can't you build the church with the money of the members rather than calling bandits, political thuggeries? Jesus said, no. He took a whip. And if my appreciation brought money into my church, I would whip him. Surely. What for? But members can build the church.
They do it all the time, Reverend Doctor.
No. That's thuggery. You don't tell me to support banditry. Jesus called it, and Isaiah called it banditry, chapter 1, verse 15. Don't bring all these things, briberies, to God. Why are you bribing God? Why should God be bribed to bless a politician? I'm saying I don't go and bribe. We don't use the parliament to raise money. Why should we use the church?
Okay, let me ask
Parliament
you this.
Parliament, ask the governor.
Yes.
Has he ever used the county hall for raising money for himself? No. He takes that as sacred. We desecrate the church. We desecrate the church with money.
You want to tell me there's never been a Mheshimiwa who walked in and you
ask him?
And you brought him right to the front row?
Who?
Come on, it must have been.
Jeff, don't insult me. You see, where would he dare? Would he dare?
Okay, Sheikh, what about you? You must have a lot of Mheshimiwas who come to Jamia Mosque.
Yes, fortunately for us, because of the way things are done in the mosque, nobody would dare do that.
Nobody would dare come in and make their way to...
No. Number one, every mosque has a committee.
Thank you.
Like Jamia Mosque, for the time being, we are the custodians of that institution. Anybody coming there to speak on the pulpit there has to be, first of all, approved by the committee. And we want to know what it is he has to say. And especially at a time like this,
thank you,
it is known no politician is allowed to come and speak there.
And leave the church and come to your mosque.
Then, about giving, thank you, welcome. And then, Jeff, about giving.
Yes, about giving.
And you see, the connectors here, Bishop, I thought you were talking about Islam. When you said, whatever you are giving, nobody should know.
No,
actually,
that's what the Bible
teaching
says.
of Islam, Jeff, is this. The best sadaqah, we call it sadaqah, okay, charity that you give, is one that the left hand does not know what the right hand gives. That is the best.
Now you're quoting the Bible.
I'm quoting the Bible. These are the connectors, you see. So, Jeff, if you have to give, you're not giving me, and you're not giving to the public there. You're giving it because you want blessings from God. God who gave you that money. And again, Jeff, it has to be clean money. You can't bring to the mosque to build the mosque or to do anything that is godly with money that you know is ill-gotten. So the mosque is is very safe from.
They call it haram.
They cannot dare. It is haram money. And then again about sitting, I would not dare bring anybody just because he's a mheshimiwa, a governor, an MCA, to go to the front lane. First come, first served. You come late, Jeff, it doesn't matter. You could be the president of this country. You'll sit at the back and pray from there. That is not a platform for you. It is the platform for the imam. So this is very clear. And I think if we are able to implement that, then we'll put these politicians to their place.
Yeah, Bishop Oginde, at Sitam, Mheshimiwa shows up. He wants to sit in the front. He wants to sit there.
No, I don't think it is a question of he wants. Because I can tell you for a fact, I've been a senior pastor at our main church at Valley Road. We have many Mheshimiwas. Many who come there. The Speaker of the National Assembly attends the church there. He comes and sits in the crowd.
He's not ushered to the front row.
No. The senator for Kitui, a member of the church, sits in the crowd. So we do not have special seats for these people. Everybody sits because, like Sheikh is saying, they have come to worship God.
Yeah, exactly.
They have not come to display themselves. Now, there are only two exceptions, because the Bible also commands us to give honor to whom honor is due.
Exactly.
Are we together? So, I have talked about the speaker, I've talked about the senator, I've talked about, those kinds of people who are members of the church, who are regular attendees of the church. Now, there could be a person who is senior in society, who is a leader in society, deputy president, president, prime minister, speaker, or whoever, and they have come to visit the church. They are not members. They are not regular members. If we get to know that this person is coming, I would go and meet them, because they are our leaders. I want to dispute something that is very unfortunate in this country. I said again, we cannot treat our leaders as if they are lepers. They are not. We chose and selected these people to be our leaders. So when a leader comes into the church, I will not give him a seat at the front, but I would recognize him. I will tell the congregation, yes. Congregation, today we are privileged to have so-and-so visiting with us, coming to worship with us. And I give him recognition. That is required of me in the Bible. I can't pretend that this person has not appeared. I can't pretend that this is not our leader.
And if he asks you, he wants to address the crowd, the audience?
No, then I have the discretion. I have the discretion. If I would want give him opportunity, and I will tell him what to say. I will not just give him a platform, please address the nation. Yeah. This is not a platform for addressing the nation.
Reverend Doctor, every Sunday there's a politician in a church addressing the congregants.
My wife tells me always not to give too many examples, but now let me give one. Laila has come to worship at Kino twice when I was there. Did you see any TV or anywhere being reported, Laila said this in Kino? Nothing. And not him. Kiraito, many other politicians.
Okay,
I think
but there
I'm
are
afraid of so many politicians.
Doctor.
But I'm saying, when the politicians come to my church, they come as worshippers, not as politicians.
Exactly.
Period. Period.
So what are these? What churches are these?
Not to him. I can tell you how many politicians came to worship at Kino, especially when we are celebrating the constitutional, the anniversary, the first anniversary of the Constitution. Even Georgia came, and many other people. Did they come and use my church as a platform? No. I don't go to Parliament to use it as a platform, or I don't go to other sacred places.
Okay.
These are let me put it this way, Jeff. Houses dedicated for a certain purpose must serve that purpose. The house of worship is dedicated by my presbytery to serve as a purpose for worship. To turn it and convert it into a den of thieves, of political thugs, that's not for me.
Yeah, but and yet, you've lost a piece of paper. Yet you say, and all of you are saying, not me, not me, not me.
No.
Every Sunday,
Jeff,
Bishop,
let me try and answer your question.
Yes.
Let me try and answer your question. We must appreciate that there are different levels of people in our society. Say, for example, I'm a pastor in the village somewhere. Not even the sub-chief has ever entered my church. And then a member of parliament from the constituency chooses to come to my church. First of all, it throws me into disarray. Why? Because I have never accommodated this kind of a person in my experience. Mm-hmm. So there's that thing of the awe of power that comes with when these people come into the places of worship. And you'll appreciate that some of our pastors have not been exposed to that kind of an experience. And so this person, in my view, takes advantage of this pastor and takes over the church. It is wrong, it is evil, it should not be done. So what we have decided to do, especially as we get into this election period, is to educate our pastors across the country. I'm the chairman of the Evangelical Alliance of Kenya. And we recently had a meeting with our leadership. And we said we need to build capacity of our pastors so that when this kind of things happen in their churches, they remain in charge, you know. Because this is a person who is very senior. You normally just see him in Jeff Koinange live. Now he's right here in your church.
Yeah.
You get mesmerized. You don't know what to do, you know?
Yes.
This is the reality of human beings. Are we
right.
together?
Yeah.
So that pastor may not have chosen or deliberately made a choice to allow the person to take over his church. Reverend Joya here is a minister, has been a minister in the urban center. In his congregation at St. Andrews, he had cabinet ministers, he had judges, he had all these senior people.
As worshippers.
As worshippers. Now, he can say what he is saying. But I'm talking about most of these churches you are talking about. These people only see these guys on TV.
So they're
Now,
all struck.
Yeah, awestruck.
Yes.
You are told, Mheshimiwa so-and-so is here. You're saying, what? In fact, the other day we were talking, we were discussing this on radio. One pastor wrote in and said, if that person comes to my church, I will run away. Because I don't know what to do.
All right, gentlemen, let me switch gears here altogether. Yeah. Switching gears. Let me start with you, Reverend Doctor. We know there's a rift between the president and his deputy. We know this, and it's getting uglier by the day, right? Hold on. And now, because of the handshake, also, the former prime minister and the deputy president, they've been exchanging harsh words. Nobody's coming out from the church to say, hey, guys, let's take a back step here. How come nobody's speaking out?
First of all, Jeff, you should thank God about Kenya. Because the playing field is crowded. You have Ruto, you have Uhuru. I don't know where he's going because I thought he was ending his term. You have Karonzo, you have Wetangula, you have Mudavadi. You have all that crowd. If it were not before we brought a new constitution, some of them will be detention. Others would have gone through where JM went through, or Tomboya, or others. They would not be all that crowded. They would have been eliminated. So I'm saying, first of all, thank God that we can have that Ruto challenge the president and everything, and still remain alive, and still walk, and still talk, and be free.
So you're trying to say it's
all
healthy.
That freedom of worship and expression. I'm saying all that freedom Ruto is enjoying to criticize the president, which should be clapping for the president because he is helpless. He don't do anything. So now that is in the new constitution and the level playing field. Let me come to reconciliation. We were in the NCSK the other day. We called for reconciliation. We called for handshake. I was the first, if you read my Twitter, to say that since Uhuru handshake with the rider out of fear of violence, he should have handshake with his deputy. He should follow his own example by handshaking with anybody they have conflict with, not only with one child. Let me see, is the father of the nation. He should handshake with the firstborn, with the lastborn, with the fifthborn, or whatever. And I think that he should follow his own example. And I pray for him to amend his ways, to change his mind, and know that it is his bounden duty to show an example of leadership and show how we should treat our sons and our daughters when we have problems, and like how the father treated his prodigal son. That's how we should be behaving. So I'm saying we have a message to Uhuru to say that there is no complete breakdown of human relationships in a family, because Kenya is his family. His father is called the father of the nation. What kind of fatherhood is it if he is going to become an example?
Sheikh Ibrahim, do you agree?
Let me say this. I want to begin by saying what the Reverend said, that we should be happy about the democratic space that we have and the kind of guarantees that we have in our constitution. Unfortunately, Jeff, the consequences of allowing this kind of polarization, for me, is what we should be very worried about. Because it's not about the two individuals. It's about the polarization that it's causing. Because each one of them has a crowd that is cheering for them. And these are Kenyans. And these are Kenyans, if we do not check that, we'll go on to each other's throats. And that's where the danger is. Should we allow them to continue like that? Do we have a duty as religious leaders to tell them, hold on guys, are you not the same people who are wearing the same ties, the same suits the other day? Are you not the people who are holding hands together? The symbol is still there, Jeff. We don't even know what the problem is. But we know it's not healthy for the country. This is not good for the country. Are the religious leaders saying, because I saw you trying to blame us, you're not saying anything. Jeff, that's not true. The other day you saw, I think the Christians came out very strongly, telling the president and the deputy president that they need to reconcile for the sake of the country. The other day, Supkem and Namlef, Abdullahi Abdi, I think, was here, the leader of Namlef, and they told the president as much. But I think we need to take a more active role. The problem is when we sit down and sometimes take sides, then here we have a problem. And as we get closer and closer to the elections, I'm afraid unless we do something about this, it's going to polarize the country even more. And you saw even after the BBI, whatever happened in the courts, we saw one side of the divide, celebrating and chest thumping, which is not very good. Because at the end of the day, this is one country. And when I saw Bishop today coming in, I told him, anytime I see him, I remember his very wise words at Bomas of Kenya, when he said, can we stop the reggae for a moment, dancing to the reggae, and dancing to whatever the hustler tunes, and for a moment come together for something neutral, and you called it what? Jerusalem?
Jerusalem.
Yeah, Jerusalem. Something neutral. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think this is where we need to go. So the sober voice here that does not have vested interest is the voice of the religious leaders. And
Bishop,
please.
do you agree? Do you agree?
Of course we agree. Let me say this. If your father and your mother were fighting, would you go to the streets to make noise about them?
No.
No. What would you do? So when our leaders of that level are fighting, from where I sit, it is not for us to go to the media and call them names.
Yes.
It is for us to reach out to them in private and try and find out what's happening. How can it be sorted out? This the church has been doing, and we don't have to come to the camera to say we are doing it. So when we speak like we did last week, it is just announcing that we recognize that there's a problem, but we are not going to sort out our leadership issues at that level in public. It is disrespectful to the nation. It is disrespectful to our leaders.
But you're saying it's being done.
It's being done.
It's happening.
Not now. It has been happening. Jeff,
but the temperatures are still rising, Bishop. They're still rising.
They could be worse. Maybe they could have been worse.
Yeah. Be boiling, maybe.
Yeah. Because as a religious community, as religious leaders, we are part of this country. Even BBI and all these things that happen. Shekia mentioned what role the church played when it was very difficult in terms of getting the new constitution process moving. We played those roles. We were not looking for positions.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the guys who are with us in that process are all with positions. Some in commissions, some in what, some in what. We are still pastors and sheikhs. Are we together? Because we have no vested interest. So even in these situations, Kenyans should know that some of the things we see boiling over, perhaps they could be worse. But we as a religious community, we work in the background. I tell people that Jesus told us, you are the salt of the earth and you are the light of the world. when light shines like what is shining here, everybody sees. It's visible. But when salt is working in food, you don't see it. You taste it.
Yeah.
Only when you taste food, then you know there's salt or there's no salt. But before you taste the food, you can't tell whether there's salt. And so there are times when the church operates as salt in the background, underground, trying to make things happen.
But to some viewers out there, some congregants out there, they look like, or it feels like the church has taken sides.
The perceptions, those are, you see, our Reverend Joya, and I appreciate him a lot. The time and season in which they were providing leadership to this country was a very difficult time and a very different time. The approach to dealing with the national issues was completely different from where we are today. So when you hear people saying, where are the Okulus, where are the Gitaris, where are the Muges, and those people lived in a totally different time. If they were to live even today, they could not use those methods. Because under the new constitution, like Reverend Joya said, the operating field is totally different. The other day I was on Twitter, and there was this lady who was spewing all manner of evil against the leadership of this country. And just kept going and going. So I took interest. I thought, who is this? So I went to the profile to just check. I found this is a young girl of the university. And I'm thinking to myself, how can a young girl be calling president and deputy president all these kinds of names? It is part of the evil of democracy, if we say it so. You know, because democracy is a double-edged sword. Yeah. It cuts both ways. So if Bishop Okulu and Bishop Gitari and all those great men of God of yesteryears were to live today, they would not use the methods they used yesterday, because there is an open space where we can speak, we can express ourselves, we can picket and go and sleep back at home. You know, all those things. Yeah. That was not there at that time. And so we needed men of courage. Bishop and Joya here, Reverend Joya here, was beaten. We still have the videos.
Almost to death.
Almost to death. That was the space they were living in.
Yes.
Right now, we are in a different space. We are even talking these things, talking about the president on camera.
Openly.
Openly. So yes, the president and the deputy president, I want to say here openly that in the government that they have led, and even President Kibaki, they gave space for advice and for counsel. So that if we see something as religious leaders and we feel concerned about it, we can approach these people and say, we would like to visit with you. We don't have to tell them what the agenda is. And in many cases, they give us that space. We go and say, this is, they may agree or not agree, but at least we have said it. And a lot of that is happening in the background.
Behind the scenes. Reverend Joy, you said you've been preaching since 1967, right?
Yes, 67.
I was 1 year old.
You see, let me.
So, let me finish my point. Back then, like Bishop says, the church seemed to be a voice of the people.
First of all,
it was necessary.
We have three voices. One that says the Lord. That's the voice of God. That's prophetic. The other one is the voice of the people, the priesthood. The priesthood. That's the voice of the people. We are the voice of the people because we present people to God as priests. And as prophets, we say that is the Lord. And as kings, because Jesus was also Messiah, the king, we also govern. So we have all those roles as pastors and as ministers. All these kingly, prophetic, and the priestly. But let me now come to
I don't see where you're going with this. I'm looking.
I'm going to this. Let me now take my priestly role.
Okay.
And say to you, Uhuru, not speaking to you. Now I'm appealing to you. I'm appealing to Uhuru to tone it down your rhetoric. And I'm appealing to you also, Ruto, to tone down your rhetoric so that we can hear you. Because when you shout at each other, we'll not be hearing you. And we know you are talking to us, you two of you. Please also don't tone down not only, this is an appeal. This is not speaking or commanding. And I appeal to you both to tone down your rhetoric and to go and meet before the cardinal or before the bishop, the Anglican archbishop, and confess what is bothering you, and he will pray for you. And also, if you come to my moderator, he'll also pray for you, so that you can cool down and you can have my brother here. I call you my brother in Christ because the way you are talking the way I talk.
Thank you, Reverend. We are brothers, all of us are brothers.
Even my brother here in Christ,
yes,
can pray for them.
Yes.
And can pray for them to cool down. We used to say it when you are young, cool it.
Cool it.
You know the word?
Cool it.
Yes, cool it. And I think that's the word I'm using. I'm taking this function, an opportunity to tell my president, Uhuru, and my vice president, Ruto, to cool it. Just cool it. Calm down. Yes, and I think that's the one.
Gentlemen, I like that. I'm going to take a break and come back and ask you, you people, you speak so well, all of you.
Yes.
Why don't you people run for office? Why don't you? Because, this is the leadership that we want. We always talk about this, the leadership Kenya wants. Why can't you people run for office? Wait, don't answer now, O'Shea. Hold that.
Don't use your fire extinguisher.
But this is the kind of conversation we should be having, gentlemen.
We're ready for
take me for what kind of leaders do we want for Kenya?
Exactly.
Right. Think about that as we take a break. What do you guys think? Isn't this the kind of leadership we need? Talk to me at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JKLive. JKLive takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.